I have 3 small children, 4, 6, and 8. And the forces of this culture are so against raising a wholesome, good, moral family at times. I'm overwhelmed. What can we do to stand firm and help our children stand firm in their faith too? Okay. First things first. If you look at the situation, it's overwhelming. You know, I look at that, I have trouble too. I say, how can I compete? You know, if I'm dealing with kids, how do I compete? The bishop was saying to me at lunch, he saw something Madonna on television, making a mockery of the cross. You know, and our children are influenced by this kind of stuff, you know. People in the media, or people in movies, people in you know, music, they have power. They have great power. They can abuse that power. You know, better that they should have a millstone fastened around their neck and cast into the sea rather than to scandalize one of these little ones. Jesus said that. He meant it. How do you compete? St. Thomas Aquinas often said, an error in the beginning is an error indeed. That has many applications. This is also a principle. If I were a mom or a dad, let's say you're a young couple, you're just starting out in life, and hopefully you're going to have children. How should you approach this? In the first place, I'll give you an example. If you were my daughter, you know, some of you, lovely girls. Now, I've never had biological children, and probably because God doesn't trust me enough to be a parent, because it's so difficult, right? You know, I mean, it's hard today. I remember finishing a mission like this one time in the South, and I went to dinner on Saturday evening at somebody's home. And people came they put on the event, and this was years ago when I used to do that more. And it was prom time. And there was a family discussion in progress when I came. And the one daughter was about 16, 17. She was a junior in high school, I think. And for weeks it had been going on. She wanted to go to senior prom with a senior boy. And there was a fight going on in the family. And I forget which was which, but either the mom or the dad said, no way. And the other one said, why not? And so I walked in the middle of this. And the sweet young thing turned to me and said, what do you think, Father? And smiled sweetly. And I said, honey, if you were my daughter, I'd lock you up in a closet and you wouldn't get out till you're 39. Now, I'm not saying that's the right answer. You can't do that. I know. That's how I feel. God help me. I couldn't be a dad today. You know, it's difficult. I just wouldn't know what to do. You get the grace for your state in life. You know, I don't have that state in life, obviously, so I don't need the grace to do that. But it is difficult. Error in the beginning is an error indeed. You meet. Faith has to be involved. Young ladies, young men, don't think about getting married just because the boy or the girl is good looking, you're attracted to them. You know, I often ask them, well, you're in love. You know, well, what is that? Well, you know, we got feelings for each other. Oh man, you better have more than feelings for each other. You know, feelings are up and down and all around. Well, we have chemistry. That can blow up. You know? Man, I never knew this before, but let's say I was, you know, 18 again or 20 or something, and I thought my state in life was to be married. I'd be praying. Now, my family's Italian. Now, we pray a lot to St. Anthony, Italian people, right? We always got devotion to St. Anthony. And all the time, young ladies are asking, oh, I can't find a good man. You know, the moms will bring them. I can't find a good Catholic man. I said, you got to pray to St. Anthony. You know, he's the one who finds lost things. You know, you give the ancient Italian prayer. You pray, Tony, Tony, find me a man. Do it, please, as fast as you can. And you see, then God sends one, you know, a good one. He'll got to pray for good things, you know. No, but if I were, seriously, if I were in that position, I'd be praying. I'd turn to the Blessed Mother, and I said, please, you know, send me. How am I going to? I can't find the right. What do I know? You know, I don't know. Send me the right one. And if I did find someone you know, a friend of mine, he married his childhood sweetheart. It's almost impossible, but they liked each other from when they're 8 years old. And their parents were good Catholics, both of them. They grew up in the inner city in Detroit. And the parents let them actually go on little outings with the family from when they were about 12 years old. But they made them pray together before they started the day. And then when they got older, like 18, and they went on real dates, they made them go to church before the Blessed Sacrament and pray together for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And they've been married for 45 years. You know, and they start out when they're 8 years old. That's almost impossible. They did it. A relationship can't be just a man and a woman. You know, marriage can't just be a man and a woman, although it did say Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve. So, but it can't just be a man and a woman. It's got to be a man, a woman, and Jesus. Jesus has to be in the middle of the relationship. God has to be there, or kiss it goodbye, because it's probably not going to last today. Okay? So what do? An error in the beginning is an error indeed. Mom, you find out you're pregnant. You know, I'm always blessing pregnant moms. You know, I bless the mom and the baby. And that's getting off on the right foot. You know, that's starting with, I'd take the baby to church regularly. I mean before the baby's born. Right? Mom's pregnant, go to church. Receive Jesus in the Eucharist. Pray the rosary, you and baby. And make that intention. Don't you think for a minute babies in the womb can't be influenced by things. Good things or bad. An error in the beginning is an error indeed. Start that way. Pray. Then the kids are born. Start praying with them. Pray the rosary every day. Mom, dad, family. Oh, we don't have you, but make time. Oh, but we don't like it. Do it. Just do it. Just do it. Well, I know you're right now, but when we were younger, we didn't do that, and we didn't start till we were older, and now it's hard. Right. When they're in the beginnings, and they're indeed. So now the kids are 14. And I want them to pray the rosary, Mom says, and Dad will even do it. But the kids don't want to do it. You know, it's like, man, after supper, you know, let's pray the family rosary, and they say no. See, I am from a different generation. I remember praying the family rosary at my great-grandfather's house. We'd go to visit him up in Canada in the summer. My great-grandfather was a simple man, a working man, carpenter, you know, powerful man. He's a big man. Oh, boy, my great-grandfather. He was about the strongest man in the whole area. He wasn't very big, 5'7", and he was about the same width at the shoulder, 5'7". And when great-grandfather announced after dinner at night, we will now pray the rosary, I want to tell you, we now prayed the rosary. And he didn't negotiate. He didn't negotiate, didn't take no prisoners. Now, we will pray the rosary. And what pagan in here is going to say we're not? It's to all of his family, you know. I swear one night we were there, and he had a Jewish lawyer or something. There was a friend of his, and the Jewish man came for dinner. He was a nice man. And after supper, great-grandfather, now we'll pray the rosary. And the Jewish man was going to excuse himself, because after all, that's not his religion. Oh, no. He ain't going nowhere. The Jew knelt down and prayed the rosary. I want to tell you what, he did it, and it didn't do him no harm, neither. Now, that was back then. I know it's different today, but hey, an error in the beginning is an error indeed. Do the best you can. Well, they won't do it. I can imagine. When I was 17 years old, you know, I thought I was king of the world. You know, when I got 18, I knew I was king of the world. You know, not in my mother's house. Oh, my mother had quit hitting me when I was about 13, because by the time I was 13, you know, I was playing linebacker on the football team, and you know, my mom, I outgrew her real fast. She was this big, and I was that big. You know, I was a big, strong teenage boy. She knocked the snot out of me. She didn't care. I can't imagine acting toward my mother the way I've seen children act towards their mother. I never would have done that. I mean, I wasn't perfect, but I never used a curse word in front of my mother. She'd have killed me. She'd have literally killed me on the, she'd have broken my head right on the spot. And you know, she couldn't hurt me with her hand. I got about 13, I was just too big and strong. She'd hit me and she'd really hurt her hand, and then I was really in trouble. She'd use blunt instruments. She'd just use anything at hand, you know, brooms, shovels, rakes. Didn't make no difference. She'd break those over my head. You couldn't intimidate her. You know, my mother's part Sicilian. They like knives, them Sicilian women, you know? I was chased out of the house more than once by a 5'4" woman. Prayer. Pray the rosary. But the kids won't pray it. They're too old now. You do it. You do it for them. And don't be discouraged if they don't straighten out. They will. They will. I did. And I was the hardest case imaginable. My mother prayed that rosary day in and day out, 10, 20 and more years, every day. And I'm sure she grew discouraged at times. Just keep praying, Mom. Pray the rosary. And after 10 years, or 15 or 20, and I hope it doesn't take you that long, and they don't straighten out, don't panic. Don't panic. Just keep praying. And don't think you need another method. It'll work.